So every time I have to minimize and I have to accept. So we'll take 1 more minute and we'll start. So after that, I can't take anybody in. Okay. Okay. Fine. So we'll start. This is just introduction. Today I'll give you about these two technology, which all come under so advanced Java part. So that is also you can call it as Java 2 extended version. So that is J2EE. So after the core programming, some advanced concepts. So those are Servlet and the JSP. So first chapter is all about Servlet. What is Servlet? That is Servlet definition we have to discuss. And next, what is Servlet lifecycle and where we can use these Servlets, and what are the advantage of the Servlet? Okay, and in core programming that we have discussed about the applets. So applets is very the lightweight components and which is going to be run at the client side program, right? And without your permission or without the programmer or without the client permission, your applet can't be run on your system or on your browser. That all we have discussed about the servlet. Sorry, applet. So servlet is exactly opposite to the applet. So here servlet is going to be reside at the server side programming and uh, which is going to be run at the server side and which is going to be create dynamic web contents. So servlet is nothing but it acts like the script or it acts like an application at the server side. So where it is going to be come into the picture. So you know that like uh, many web applications, right? So I said it is a dynamic web page creation technology. Okay. So first we'll discuss what is the dynamic web page and what are the static pages. So static pages that all you have studied is study the HTML content. Okay. So static is nothing but whenever you use that page or whenever you run the code or static pages, so it's going to be serve always the same content. Suppose if I wanted to run an application or if I wanted to click any link on the browser, so which is going to be serve the same content, which is not going to be update at all, right? It may be delete. Update means it may be delete, it may be add some more information, which is not going to be possible in the static pages. Static pages which is going to be serve always the same page. See, if you maintain one image at the server side, through the static pages you are fetching the same image always, which is going to be serve the same images only. Okay, which is not going to be updated at the server side. So those are the static contents. Okay, so especially this HTML, which all what you learn, these HTML tags, right? So which is going to be serve the static pages. So now about servlet, you come here. Servlet is going to be provide the dynamic contents. So dynamic contents means it may be update, it may be delete, it may be add, right? So that is what I can call it as the dynamic. So that's why dynamic in nature, these pages. Dynamic means over the time that may be updatable. So that is going to be serve the updatable information from your uh, the new request or to the request on every day basis. So that is how it is going to be serve the dynamic pages to the users. It is just like a client server technology, you know that. So something you will search on the Google with some queries, right? So you get a number of links there dynamically, right? So a number of links again, a number of links. If you click, so a number of informations. Some link which provides images, some link which provides only the text, enriched text information about the content, and some text which is going to be some links which are going to be provide some video links, right? So this is for one queries which is going to be served different the content page or content links. So this is how it's going to be possible. So that is all because of the servlets. So servlet technology, which is resides at the server side systems. Okay, so then, so many here the servlets in Java. So there are many interfaces and the classes in the servlet API. So here we can call it as a servlet as a application protocol interface, or servlet as a class, or servlet as a interfaces, and all varieties. So which is available in the Java. That will take later part of this chapter. Okay. So now next one. So what is servlet here? Servlet can be described in a many ways depending upon the context. Here I have highlighted. Servlet is an API, so that's why application protocol interface. So possible definitions I have listed out for the servlet. Servlet is an API that provides many interfaces and the classes, including the documentation. Next, servlet is an interface that must be implemented for creating any servlet. Next, servlet is a class that extends the capabilities of the servers and responds to the incoming requests. It can respond to any requests. And next, the last part, servlet is a web component that is deployed on the server to create dynamic web pages. See all possible the definition about the servlet I have listed out here in one slide. See, servlet acts as an API, servlet acts as an interface, and servlet acts as a class, right? So servlet is also a web component. That's why I said if it's going to be reside at the server side, based on the request which is going to be served different the contents to the users. And this is what about servlet. Next, just a diagram to it's a figure. So to explain about the servlet, where servlet is going to be reside. So here server you can see it, servers. Okay. So on the server side, that programming which is going to be run, the servlets are going to be run at the, or which is going to be reside at this server side. So then applet we have studied in the core programming, core Java programming, that applets are resides on your system, on your browser. So that applet and servlet exactly many differences have. So the servlet location is at the server side and applet location at the your system side or your client side browser side. So here, how servlets are going to be run, and what is the task of the servlet at the server side? See, suppose through the system, suppose a client he put a request, something he is searching on the internet, right? So Google is also maintaining many servers are there, many application servers, right? Many database servers, yeah, many servers. Google is maintained, right? So suppose if you send one request, right? So then the request is coming, request is going with some format, that is a text format. Obviously, it'll pass the text, right? Where is VTU and about VTU or something about any Bollywood or about any places you are searching on the internet, right? About any address you are searching on the internet. Many queries you know that you'll pass to the Google. So something if you don't know, just you pass it on Google. So which is going to be provided. So n number of links, so related links, right, to your queries that is going to be supplied to the user side. So who is going to be do all this? So is there any person so who is going to be read your queries manually? No, it is not possible, because so every day Google is going to be like executes so these user queries more than 1 billion, so I guess. So more than 1 billion the queries are going to be executed at the Google service. Like many servers are there. So just I'm giving you examples of a Google. So you see, suppose see 100 billions of queries which is going to be executed on the Google servers, on the Google machine, on the Google applications. So on server side, how these contents are supplying for each users, the related contents which is going to be supplied to the each users. So that is by the request processing. So who is going to be process the request? So for that also application is there, for also programming is there, for that also technology is there. So that technology, what we can call it as the servlets. So servlet, so which is also server side programming technology and server side application. So which is going to be process your request and which is going to be generate a response, right? Which is related to your request. So not only one response which may can generate a many response which is related to your queries or your request, and that will be served again to the client side.
So that's why, suppose if I enter any the Belgium nearby tourist places, so a number of links that will be provided on your the browser. So right, so each link you can click again. The more information your server which is going to be provide you, right? Maybe some videos which will throw at you, or some images with that, some captions, images with some content. So that all which is going to be throw again at on your screen. That is all by done the servlets. Okay. So next one, this is over the figure, so we can make out. So on server side, the servlets are going to be this side. Servlet is nothing but it is an application, or it is an a program, right? So those servlets which are going to be process your request and produce the related responses to the user request, and that will be served to you again the users. So this is what the servlet is going to be do. And see here, what is web application? So web application is an application accessible from the web, and so a web application is composed of web components like Servlet, JSP, and other elements such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So together we can call it as web applications. This now in this chapter, just little bit introduction. Just I gave HTML. It is all about the static pages. CSS is you know that. So just cascading styles to make enrich your pages. JavaScript again, it is also server-side programming, just like a servlet. So that JavaScript we are not studying in our advanced Java. That is not there for your syllabus. Here mostly, and CSS also is not there for your syllabus. So here more we are focusing on the servlet and the JSP part. Okay. And next, the web components typically executes in web server and respond at the HTTP request. So now, who have learned this HTMLs and any like simple HTML creation HTML pages, and uh, so or create a simple web pages, right, or any websites. So like they know about HTTP request and the responses. So this HTTP request and the response is nothing but whatever the request you are sending, right, to the Google engine or any servers, right, any engines or any servers. So that request, how it is going to be carried, right? Request you have sent as a text, but how it is going to be carried. So for that also some format is there, and which protocol is designed to carry your queries to the server side. So for that, right now, so many engines, so they are going to be implemented this HTTPs. HTTP is nothing but a protocol that is hypertext transfer protocol, which is going to be carry a pure text, right? And which is also called as a stateless protocol. Why stateless protocol? You know that. See, a number of queries. Stateless means what? Which is not going to be remember anything. Once query is sent, which is going to be reached at the server side. So that protocol which is going to be forget it out what query which has carried earlier. See, if it is become a stateful, just imagine. See, if 100 billions of queries are executing on the Google engine only, if HTTP is a stateful, which is going to be keep preserve the all query information, what query which is supplied to the server side. So just how many logs are going to be created? It is simply burden over the protocol. So that's HTTP is stateless is nothing but which is not to be remember what or what type of queries which is going to be just transferred from the user to the uh, server side. So just it is going to be take your queries and which is going to be submit to the server side. Again it will be forgotten. So again, if you send the same queries to the HTTP, same queries, again it will take as a fresh query only, because it doesn't have any memory to remember what query you have sent just 1 minute back. So that's why same queries 100 times you execute it on the Google, right? So again, same query is going to be travel, and it never says you have already passed the same queries to you. Why? Because the HTTPs. So HTTPs which will not remember anything what you have sent just 1 minute back. It is just like stateless, which is not going to be keep any track of your queries, which is just take your queries and submit to the server side. So this is what the HTTP uh, uh, protocol, that is hypertext transfer protocol, which is going to be carry your pure text, your queries into the text format, and that will be submit as a request to the server side. Again, whatever it is generating. So after the process, you know, the servlet which will take your request and that will be process your request and which will be generate related response. That response which will be delivered again to the users. You have just sent a request and that is processed, and the related images supplied or served to you, that is by the servlet. And again, the request is travel to the HTTP, and again response is also generated at the server side. So who is going to be carry that response to you? That response again, which is going to be carried by the same protocol, that is hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP. So again, I said HTTP is also stateless. What response is served to you, that also it is going to be followed. It is not like your hotel server. So if you order something and if you again ordered, at least he can remind you, sir, just you have ordered the same content. So can I order one more plate, or so you want to go for the new one? So that's why. So HTTP, it is every request which will take as a new request, fresh request. Okay. So that's why it is called as a stateless protocol. Next, come to the CGI. Why this is I am discussing here. So now technology is a servlet which is going to be which is going to be process your request, right, and that will be produce the response. This job is done by the servlet. So, and servlet is a product of Java, you know that. And you can ask me a question, sir, when Java was launched in the market, so internet was there that time. Okay, so then that time, so which technology was there to handle your request and to process your request and to generate the response? Because that time Java was not introduced. Java was very recently, which is introduced when Java was not there. So that time, which technology was there in the world, which is going to be handle your input request and produce the output responses? So that is by CGI. This is Common Gateway Interface. That time, so when Java introduced, so then servlet concept has come. Servlet is introduced into the market. That technology, then servlet features are going to be used at the server side to produce the related response for your request. But when Java was not there, when servlet technology was not there, so that time these all queries are going to be processed and response are going to be handled by the CGI, this common gateway interfaces. So then what is this common gateway interface? So it is just like a servlet technology. So what servlet is doing? So in those days, CGI was doing the same thing. So here CGI technology, which enables the web server to call an external program and pass the HTTP request information to the external program to process the requests here. And for each request, it starts a new process. It's very, very important here. Sometimes when you are facing any interviews on this, especially servlet and the servlet, especially servlet, so they can ask you a question this. So when servlet was not there, which technology was there to handle your or to process your request on the web applications? So that time CGI was there. That is the common gateway interface. Then immediately they fire your question. So then why servlet is replace CGI? What is the major disadvantage CGI was facing? So the next question and next answer for this question is CGI is a process oriented. This is very, very important. You know that Java is a threadable. That is a Java feature because it is a thread oriented, which is going to be allow multitasking or multiprocessing. But see here CGI interface, which is also doing the same job. But what is the major disadvantage is it is a process oriented. So you know that. So if you have studied OS, I'm not wrong. Like what is the difference between process and thread? You know very well. So process is a heavy component, heavy weight, and thread is a very light part, right? So see if you go with a process oriented, so obviously you have to wait your process to complete one request, then it will jump to the another request. Suppose the process oriented task was there in this world right now, Just see in a Google, if you pass 100 billion queries in a day, see process obviously which takes one by one request, which will not allow the multi-task, right? At a time, 100 tasks are not going to be executed if it is a process-oriented. If it is thread-oriented, multitasking is there. If a process-oriented, which is going to be wait uh, till the first request is going to be served completely. See, 100 billions are requests are coming at the server side. Then, if you implement the process-oriented, obviously, what will happen? So you have one queries, right? If you pass one queries a morning to the Google, then you have to wait up to evening, because if it was a process oriented, because that many users are there in the Google. You know that how many users are there in the Google right now in this world, right? If it is a process oriented, so obviously it is process by process which is going to be complete the task, and at a time multitasking is not going to be allowed in this technology, because it is not threadable. So CPU, if you have 100 queries, so then you have to wait 100 days to complete. Just imagine, then obviously you are going to be stop usage of the Google only. So if you suppose if you want to fetch any information about VTU, and if you pass the queries early morning, then you have to wait for the evening to get some response from the Google. So instead of that, you will go and go to VTU, and you will visit, and you will clear your doubts about, right, what is VTU and where whatever your queries is there about the VTU results and whatever it is. So that's why what is the major disadvantage is the process oriented. That's why it says for each request it starts a new process. It means it is a process oriented, and it is not going to be allow the multitasking, because it is not a threadable approach. So when I say the servlet, it is a Java flavor, you know that. So when I say the Java flavor, so obviously it is a threadable. So threads are going to be allowed to handle the multitask. So at a time it is going to be handle more than 100 requests, and at a time it's going to be process more than 100 queries, right? So obviously the task burdens, whatever the requests are coming, are the queues, request queues, which are going to be processed or which are going to be executed very soon. So that's why Servlet, which is replaced the CGI technology completely. See the disadvantage in one diagram you can see. So detail you can guess it. See, requests are coming here, okay, and server here. So which is taking a CGI shell, CGI shell, CGI shell. CGI shell is nothing but one process. It is 1, 2, 3. For every request, one process is initialized. 1, 2, 3. So obviously, you know that the process are heavy components. So obviously, which is going to be put overload on the system. So that's why processor overload, it is showing here. So loading. So once the processor going to be overload, sometimes the processor are going to be crashed. Okay. So here there are many problems in CGI technology. Here 1, 2, 3. The number of clients increases, just like this. It is time for spending the response. Obviously, because it is a process oriented, multitask is not allowed. Process oriented is there. So it's going to be initialize the first process, and it takes some time to complete the process. The next process again it takes time, right? So multitasking is needed for here. So then for the current world, so nobody have a time or patience to uh, uh, wait for the response, right? So if such types of implementation is there, obviously, so Google will not become famous in the market. You know that Google, how much fast it is, right? If you send one queries, which is going to supply a number of links, the related links to you. And next one is for each request, it starts a process, and the web server is limited to the start processes. Yes, obviously it is once processes are so heavy in weight, the size are more compared to the thread. So obviously memory issues again. Next, third one is it uses the platform dependent language C, C++, and 4. So obviously when it is a platform dependent, obviously which is not robust, which is not a fast, which is not multitasking process, right? So these all major disadvantages the CGI was facing. So to alternate, the servlet is introduced in the market. So now in web container, every request which is going to be handled by the thread. Threads are, you know that. It's very lightweight component. So compared to the process. So when it is lightweight, memory issues are not going to become. So when it is light in nature, the processor loading is also, the loading burden is also reduced, and multitasking is going to be allowed. Obviously, when multitasking is there, performance is going to be increased, right? So next, portability is going to be provided. So because it is a Java component, Servlet is also Java product. So when it is Java product, Java features, you know that Java is a portable. So obviously Servlet is also portable. Java is a robust. Obviously Servlet is also robust because it is Java product only. And Java is a secure. So obviously Servlet is also secure. So these all the major thing uh, which is showing in the slide. So what is the advantages of the servlet over the CGI? Or sometimes you may get a question, what is the difference between servlet and the CGI? So in that you have to explain all this. So CGI is which is going to be which is a process oriented, and servlet is a Java product, obviously, which is a thread oriented. And multitasking is not possible in the CGI technology, but here servlet multitasking can be supported. And so obviously when multitasking is there, so obviously performance is going to be increased, and that is a process oriented performance. Obviously delay is there, so performance is not going to be increased there. And portability is not there in CGI, but here portability is there. And CGI is not secure and not robust, and the servlets are much secure and the robust. These all different. This is very important. 4 to 5 marks you can expect in this model. So what is the difference between servlet and the CGI? So if you put this diagram and if you list out these differences, 4 to 5 differences, so then it is very easy. So it is easy way to score the marks here, 5 out of 5. This diagram if you put no, so then the evaluators easily they can understand. Yes, you know the difference between servlet and the CGI technology. Okay, so that's why I have taken this images. The advantages I have discussed here same. So now Servlet APIs, the supporting packages are there. Java is not Servlet because when you are working with a Servlet, supporting just like header file, supporting package how to import in the code. So what are those packages? JavaX.servlet. This is one package which contains many interfaces and classes that are used by the servlet or the web container. And these are not specific to any protocol. See, if you are not implementing or if you are implementing any protocol which is not specified, it is general servlet packages. See, suppose if you are implementing just like client server technology, if you are working with a client server projects, so obviously that time you have to implement HTTP servlets. So because your request and response are going to be handled by your HTTP protocol. So then you have to implement your servlet with specific to the protocol. So then you have to take the supporting package. So that is the protocol specific package is there for the servlet, that is javax.servlet.http is nothing but you are implementing the HTTP servlets here. Okay, your servlets which is working on the HTTP request and the response object. So that's why maximum in maximum servlet programming, maximum web applications, all the programmers they prefer this type of package, right? Java X, that is X is nothing but the extender version. .servlet.http, they are going to be use this. So they are going to be extend this package or this class you can say, because this is protocol dependent servlet. So obviously HTTP request and response are going to be come here by default. And some are there. I have listed out all interfaces in Java X servlet packages. Some interfaces are there: servlet, servlet request, servlet response, request dispatcher, servlet config, servlet connect, context. These will not come for your exams. Just to understanding purpose, what are the available packages? So if you write javax.servlet.star, which will import all these packages, dot star and colon if you write no, so all supporting in one line only you can import it. And some classes are there in these packages. Those are the interfaces earlier what we have discussed. So now some packages are there. Sorry, some classes are there in the servlet package. Those are generic servlet class, servlet input stream class, servlet input stream class, which is going to be handle whatever the input from the keyboard you will supply for the program. That is input stream. Servlet output stream means after the processing your request, what content is going to be supplied to the users. That will be handled by the output stream object. And servlet request wrapper, response wrapper, servlet request event, context event, request attribute event, context attribute event, servlet exception, unavailable exceptions. So these are all supporting classes under the servlet packages. And this is a life cycle of servlet. So how applet life cycle, you know that load applet, init applet, and start applet, and destroy the applet. Same here also, you have to load the servlet class for the execution purpose. Next, create a servlet instance. When you load the classes, which starts compiling, then which is going to be initiate, that is a servlet instance are going to be initiated for calling the init method. So after that, once servlet starts executing, for what purpose your servlet is written. So request and response, that is processing. So that which is nothing but the service here. Sorry. So init, service, and destroy. These three methods are there in the servlet lifecycle. See, and init is also called only once, and destroy is also called only once in the entire lifecycle of your servlet. Service is there no here. Arrow mark is a servlet. So request, process, and the response generation. So this is going to be provide the services. So major three operations or methods are going to be called in the servlet lifecycle. First one is the init. Next one is start, the service, and third one is the destroy. This is very important. You will get one question on the life cycle of servlet. What is servlet life cycle, and explain its methods. That is, first one is init method, second one is the service method, and the destroy method. With this diagram, if you write no, then you will get a full marks. So almost 7 to 8 marks you can expect on this, and this is a fixed question. There is no choice in this chapter. First one is difference between CGI and the servlet. Next, the important, very important question is what is servlet, and explain the life cycle of the servlet. This is 7 to 8 marks question. It is fixed. Okay. So init, what it does, I said init just for the initialization of servlet. Service is for the service, that is request, process, and the response generation. This is what the service. Once service is complete, so obviously program has to be terminated. So that time is going to be called which is going to be no the destroy. So destroy nothing but when you close the application, so automatically servlet, which is going to be called the inbuilt method, is a destroy. Why destroy? Because see, if you're running a number of servlet applications, so which is going to be consume your memory locations. So when destroy is called, automatically which is going to be release whatever the memory which is used for the executions, so for the next task. So that's why the destroy. Init for the initialization, service for to provide the service, destroy is going to be just free up the all the resources which is allocated for the execution of this servlet on the memory. That's it. So steps to create servlet. Here we have 3 steps. Just how to create class, you know that, right? Simple class name. So like that, how can we create the servlet class? How to write? By 3 ways you have to write the servlet here. One, by implementing the servlet, nothing but you have to give a servlet name and implements servlet interface. So you know that while implementing the interfaces, class A implements the interface B. You will write no like this. So this is the first way. How can we implement the servlet? That is by implementing the servlet interface, you can write the servlet program. Next way is there by inheriting. It is nothing but my servlet. It is my servlet program name. My servlet, which extends the generic servlet. This is by inheriting the generic servlet class. When word inherit is there, you have to use extends keyword. When implementing is there, you have to use the implement. When interface is there, you have to use the implement keyword. When class is there, you are inheriting that class, then at that time you have to use inherit. Okay, next third way, that is also by inheriting the one more, that is HTTP servlet class. You know that it is a protocol specific.
And in maximum programming, maximum programmer, they use the third type. Okay, class my servlet extends HTTP servlet, open brace, close brace. So then your servlet program is start. Simple. How? The syntax is class my servlet is my servlet class name, which is going to be inherit. For inheritance, you have to use the keyword extends, which is the base class for this. This is HTTP servlet is the base class for it. So the mostly used approach is by extending HTTP servlet because it provides HTTP request specific methods such as do get and do post and do head. Some methods are there, HTTP methods. Do get, do post and do head. This I'll discuss later. What are those do get, do post and do head methods? Next, 6 steps are there to create servlet by using the Apache Tomcat server. So this is many application servers are there. Apache Tomcat is there, Glassfish is there. See if you are using NetBeans 8.1 or 8.2, so there you can use these available servers, application servers are there. And for this, it is not like a normal Java programming. So when you are dealing with JSP and Servlet, so you need application servers. So on those servers only you can execute the program. It is just no, by Java virtual machine, so you cannot execute this. So supporting application servers are needed because you are dealing with the web content now. So this is how to create in the next class. I will show you. So how to create your servlet, simple servlet, that I'll tell you. See here, these are some components are there. Web INF classes, lib. This all I'll explain you while creating simple one servlet application. Then you can understand what are those components. See, to compile the servlet, I said you need application servers. Many application servers are there here. Apache Tomcat is there, WebLogic is there, GeoBoss is there, Glassfish is there. So when you are dealing or when you are executing your servlet program with NetBeans 8.1 or 2, Glassfish is there for that. Inbuilt it will come, and no need to install again externally, right? So especially when you are handling JSP and Servlet, so better you go for NetBeans 8.1 or 8.2 IDE. So there you can get it. Okay. So I hope today I'll just wind up this session, and the next class I'll show you how to create servlet, and a little more discussion is there. So wherever I said important, so be prepare those questions. Definitely you will get 100%. Definitely you will get those questions on your question paper. Okay. Till now what I discussed: introduction, difference between CJ and Servlet, next Lifecycle of Servlet. These 3 questions are very, very important in this chapter. Later on, I'll tell you again, okay, which all questions may appear in your exam. So those questions you have to prepare perfectly. So then you can score more than 90 very easily. Whatever questions I said, no, just you prepare completely. Okay, and this PPT also I am preparing, and notes also I'll share with you. Okay.